And we are back in the bird bar, brought to you by the Goods Virtual World. You hear that? Ow, ow, ow. That's them dogs barking. There's another fight at the joint practices. This time with my quarterback. Just want to say for the children listening, violence is not always the answer, but it is an answer and it is effective. I got Falcon DNA, but I'm half dog. To put much respect on me quarterback name, I smack you. My quarterback from Dade County. Oh, you stop into the bird bar. What's going on, family? It's your boy, C-Mo the C. Mitchell, checking in with another episode of the Falcons Bird Bar, brought to you this week by the Goods Virtual World. Much love to all our loyal subscribers and viewers. And keep your notifications on, too, so you can stay up to date with every time we drop. In the comments below, tell me, which position camp battle are you following most closely? Without further ado, let's get right into it. Falcons wrap up the end of joint practices with another intense day, and it's actually another fight, as a lot of you guys know, this time with Michael Penix.
I like to compete at a high level. I don't really do too much talking until somebody says something to me, and then I threw a touchdown. Now what y'all talking about? Like, no, I guess not everybody take that the right way. They probably looked at me as just a quarterback. I wasn't that type of person, but I'm from Tampa, Dade City.
Now everything's all good. Nobody was hurt. Don't want to see your quarterback usually have these type of scenarios, but I think it brings a different type of fire to your team when they know that your quarterback is one of those type of guys that, you know, isn't scared to mix it up.
One of the guys comes up to me like, dude, yeah, our quarterback's different. Our quarterback's different. And I was like, what happened? And they said, he was the one fighting and everybody jumped the dude. I was like, all right, Mike, I love you, dog. That's my dude. That's my quarterback, QB1.
One of my favorite quarterbacks is Steve Young. I love quarterbacks who aren't afraid to take a hit, who stand stout in the pocket, guys who ain't no punk. And that does something different for your team.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked, but at the end of the day, I know he's got it in him. Because seeing like a competitive edge, it's just guys got it or they don't. And in moments like that, everybody reacts different ways. I'm not saying everybody that's a fighter is great and everybody that's not isn't. But when you see that edge come out of someone for whatever reason, whatever struck that chord in them, and you see it come out, you know, it just solidifies everything.
Knowing that your quarterback will go to bat for you makes you want to run through brick walls for him. A king who will go out on the battle lines and get dirty with you goes a long way to the attitude and the vibe of this team. You gotta love the scrappiness and the fight that this team actually has. Units who are gritty and aren't afraid to run the ball. It starts up front in the trenches, and we got guys out there who want to go out there and get after the quarterback. We got guys who want to run the ball up and down the field on you. And that type of bully mentality is what's gonna pay dividends going deeper into the season when winter comes. It's that old throwback type of mentality that you got from the 80s and 90s. This team has a different type of aura to it, and I love it. I saw Bijan Robinson recently on the pivot. One thing that he talked about that I really loved was his time with Christian McCaffrey, getting a lot more option routes and preparedness this year. I'm really excited that he said he's going to be lining up as a wide receiver a lot more.
Doing everything, lining up at receiver. We sprinkled it last year because it was a new system, but this year, like, being out at wide, going up against corners, being at slot, running, I don't want to say the routes, but running receiver routes.
Bijan, unlike a lot of running backs in this league, can run more of an extensive route tree, and he has terrific hands. Definitely better hands than your average running back in the league. And one reason that I love this is because, as Bijan says, DBs are going to have to tackle him as he runs after the catch.
Typically, you're not going to put a linebacker out there, so on the DBs, do catch the ball on them, like, they still got to make a tackle. And a lot of DBs today, like,
and Bijan definitely ain't a small guy, as we said before. You would think of him as being a smaller guy because he's so fast, but Bijan's like 6 foot 220.
He's too damn big to run that fast and quick. That's what it doesn't look natural. It looks unnatural.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
they don't want that work.
It's a lot to tackle. Bijan already is probably the most dangerous guy with the rock in his hand as a run after a catch player. Get him one-on-one with defensive backs and smaller guys that are actually fast enough to keep up with him, because guys at his size usually can't keep up with him. That's a mismatch all day. And that's just another weapon to our repertoire, more mismatches that we have on this team. Drake London is a mismatch. Kyle Pitts is a mismatch. And I think that Zack Robinson, being a second-year coordinator, I think he's going to get in his bag a lot more this year. More aggressive with his play calling, but also a little bit smarter as well. Now, as we've seen already, the Falcons are doing a lot more play action this year, and I believe that's going to continue once we get Michael Penix in the game as well. When we have week one, I think that they're really going to unleash him a lot more. People negate the speed and athleticism that Michael Penix has, and I think his half rollouts, his half boots, getting guys in space a lot more.
You know, you got to account for not just me in the run game or Tyler in the run game. Like, you have to account for Mike, because he can roll out, he can scramble, he can, you know, take another linebacker out. And I feel like when you take another linebacker out,
it's going to do a lot more wonders for this team, and I'm pretty excited. I want you guys in the comments below. Tell me, how many rushing yards do you think that Michael Penix is going to have this year? Now, the word is that the Falcons had a pretty good camp and they got the better of the Titans. One of the things that we've heard throughout camp so far has been the connection that Penix has with Pitts. We know Drake London is probably going to get another 100 receptions this year, but I believe that Kyle Pitts is actually going to be a lot more targeted this year as well, too. I think he's going to have well over the amount of receptions that he had last year. I can see him easily somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe 60 or 70 receptions again this year. But during the 7-on-7 period of the last day, they actually connected for a touchdown. Last year, I made a bold prediction at the beginning of the season that we see Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and Bijan Robinson all going for over 1,000 yards. I'm not all the way sure about that this year, but I believe that we could see Kyle Pitts with easily 700 or 800 yards this year, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did go for 1,000 yards. I'm not going to be that bold this time, but I'm going to say Kyle Pitts over 700 yards this year. Ray McCloud actually has been stepping up a lot more as well during this camp. And I also heard Bijan Robinson on the pivot talking about how good Ray McCloud was. In the absence of Darnell Mooney, who's another guy that Bijan Robinson talks about being so good. Now, truthfully, nobody knows exactly when Darnell Mooney's going to get back. But listening to Raheem Morris, he says that he'll be back sometime this season. Now, we know Raheem Morris likes to play up a lot of gamesmanship, and he tries to get any type of competitive advantage that he can get. He doesn't really like to report as much. So it's anybody's guess whenever he's coming back. But Casey Washington is a guy who has really been stepping up in camp. Now, we didn't see him really appear on the stat sheet in the preseason game recently. But from what we've heard, he's actually been connecting a lot with Michael Penix during camp. Right now, he's the starter in place of Darnell Mooney. And the word is that the Falcons really love him as their deep threat. So even when Darnell Mooney comes back, we could probably see Casey Washington actually playing a lot more as well, too. Just really being able to stretch the field a lot more, because besides Darnell Mooney, the Falcons don't have anybody else who really stretches the field that deep consistently, aside from Kyle Pitts. It's always good when you have more people who can stretch the field. But Michael Penix and Casey Washington actually have a pretty good rapport from last year as well, too, just playing on scout team and not being starters. We can see him develop a lot more and get a lot more playing time if Darnell Mooney actually does have to stay out a little bit longer. And I believe that the Falcons trust him enough to let Darnell Mooney just kind of come back whenever without, really rushing him. And that's one thing that I think that the Falcons are doing a good job of. We have a really fiery young team, and Raheem is doing a really good job of actually protecting these guys from themselves. And as I stated before, I think it's a good idea that Raheem is actually keeping a lot of these starters out of the preseason, but a lot of people, I think, don't understand the importance of these joint practices. Joint practices are terrific. You get to get a lot more one-on-one teaching, and you get to get a lot more game scenarios.
Be able to see another defense, other than our own, and I feel like we've been game planning our defense for a while. It was good to be able to go against somebody else, and see different things that could pop up, when it comes game week. Just seeing different looks, different pressure looks, coverages that will work better with certain route concepts that we have. And it was good.
In the NFL, these guys are professionals at practicing, knowing how to get as much training, getting as many reps as possible without getting guys hurt. And you can actually simulate a lot of these scenarios. You can get a lot more repetition in practice and keep guys from getting hurt as often. Now, you can't control everything. Guys will still get hurt, but it's great when you have another team that you can actually play against instead of actually having to go against your own guys. Being able to get different looks, being able to take that aggression out on other people, as the players actually talked about a little bit already in some of their interviews. But I think a lot of people negate a lot of what you get in these joint practices. You get to practice a lot of things that you don't actually have to put on television, and a game tape that you don't actually have to put out that you could keep internally.
Preseason is tough because, defenses, they don't show too much in preseason. It's a lot of vanilla coverages.
Teams definitely like to schedule teams that they're not going to probably see a lot more during the year. So I think that these joint practices are a lot better than actually getting guys in preseason, because like I said, you don't want to get your valuable people hurt in the preseason. Hopefully, I think the NFL could do away with the preseason. College football doesn't have a preseason, and those guys do just fine. I mean, if there's any lags, these guys are over it in the first 2 weeks. In the NFL, it's the elite of the elite. These guys are consummate professionals, and Michael Penix actually talks about that. Let's switch over to the defense for a bit. Being led by Jeff Ulbrich, we're starting to see what they meant by he coaches like a linebacker. And you got to love the fierceness and the preparedness that we have. Everybody running to the ball, that hustle mentality, a lot more attack style. We're hearing a lot about position battles on the front lines with the edge and some of our defensive linemen. There's a lot of talk about position battles at the safety position too. One thing for certain, I kind of feel like no matter who starts, we're going to be good all the way around. But nickel is where I believe that there's going to be a hardcore line in the sand of who's going to get a majority of the play time, and there's not going to be as much rotation going on there. And honestly, I think that Billy Bowman is going to get that position over D. Alford. If you look at the game tape, D. Alford made more mistakes, even though he played less than Billy Bowman. The one play where they had a touchdown, he actually got himself caught up. He didn't recognize the tight bunch, and he didn't make a call to switch it up on that rub route. Now, you look at them later in the game, they actually try to do something similar with a little bit of trickery and getting their alignment close when it comes to Billy Bowman, and he actually catches it. It's a pure veteran move right here. Really smart player. He actually notifies the cornerback. They make an adjustment, and he takes the inside guy. They both go outside first, and he takes the inside guy, and he sticks with him right in his pocket. And one thing that people don't understand about the nickel position, really, you're a linebacker that's out there covering. That's why I really love Billy Bowman. His time at safety and his aggressiveness allows him to come and play stout in the box. If you look at this play right here, tight end comes to block him, and bam, pops him right there in the chest, knocks the guy back, makes a play on the ball. Stops these guys from running for another 3 or 4 or 5 yards. Last year, they would have got more yards after contact if they didn't miss the tackle. And again, I believe that D. Alford is a liability, not only in the passing game, but also in the run game. You look at this other play right here, 3rd and long. He sticks to his guy, and he's right there in the seam. Quarterback looks directly at the receiver. He peeps it, sticks with his guy, takes that away. They actually get the first down because they scramble, but big play right there. Not only is he tough and aggressive down in the box, he has the speed to run with guys downfield. Like I said in a previous video, he reminds me a lot of Honey Badger, Tyran Mathieu. Now, word out of camp is that Xavier Watts also got a lot of burn with the first unit as well, too. Truthfully, as I said before, I think that the rookies are going to actually get the start. And like I said, by week 2, 3, maybe week 4, we could see Billy Bowman and Xavier Watts out there. Typically, the rule of thumb is if the veteran is equal to the rookie in skill, go ahead and put the rookie out there and let him get the experience. Only thing that I think that's separating these guys right now is every week in college at Notre Dame, Xavier Watts wasn't playing NFL competition every week. I just think they're trying to get them a lot more acclimated to the game speed, the thinking, a lot more live game reps. That's what I'm looking for in the next game coming up. I think that Billy Bowman is going to separate himself a lot more. And as good as DeMarco Hellams has been, I think that Xavier Watts is going to separate himself a lot more as well, too. Now, a lot of people think that cornerback and defensive line or interior line are 2 of the weakest positions that we have left on this team. And honestly, I don't think that's necessarily the case. Now, I wouldn't mind seeing another cornerback maybe added, like maybe Asante Samuel. We got to see what happens with that. But I'm definitely satisfied with Billy Bowman. But replacing Grady Jarrett has been a topic all off season, and I think the Falcons are doing a really good job with it. Brandon Dorlus is a name that has really been coming out of camp heavily, as well as Ruke. Those guys look really explosive in the game. Brandon Dorlus was the 2nd highest graded defensive lineman on our team in the first preseason game. Now, I know it's still preseason, but he definitely moves a lot faster. He made mention when talking to reporters about feeling more explosive and more fast this year. Being able to attack a lot more, taking the thinking out of it. Jeff Olbert mentioned to reporters how Brandon Dorlus is a guy that a lot of people thought that he would be able to move and bump down as an interior rush on some of those passing downs. And he's done a great job so far. But another person who we haven't been hearing a whole lot about, and he hasn't played a whole lot, and they say he's really been doing a lot in practices on private, is David Onyemata. I think that Onyemata is going to be a key contributor for us. The Falcons look really good with a lot of that young talent in the game the other night, and I think that David Onyemata, once he gets out there, he adds a different element. I think the defensive line is going to be just fine. I really love the reps that we're getting for these younger players, and I want to see them play them a lot more as well, too. Zach Harrison has also been used as versatile as anybody on that front 7. I love the way they've been using him as a 3 technique and playing him as an interior rush guy, but they also been playing him as a defensive end as well, straight up as well, too. And I want to see a lot more of that continue this next game and see where they're at with that, too. One thing that I'm going to be looking for and expecting is to see James Pearce Jr. just separate himself a lot more. We already saw just in a little bit of reps that he's a lot more explosive and impactful on the game, just from the eye test. One thing I forgot to mention in the last video. Lenny Craig actually hit a 57-yarder last week, and that thing looked like it could have been good from 65 yards. He did miss one kick, but this week, Younghoe is actually going to start. He's going to get the kicking duties. Now, As far as I know right now, Koo actually has the edge, and Lenny Craig's probably going to be on our practice squad. There's this interesting rule where you can actually carry an international player, and I think they want to take as much advantage of that as possible. But if Koo starts missing kicks, we can see Lenny Craig out there. I'm not sure if he's any more accurate than Koo is. I mean, he's definitely got the leg strength, but I think the position is still open for Koo, but keep an eye on that. All right, guys, that's our show for today. Stay tuned throughout the rest of the offseason. We only have a couple more weeks until the rest of the preseason. After this, we'll only have one more game. C-Mo to C-Mitchell, playing Game Official. Checking out, baby. Peace.